Hello everyone, welcome to this video. Today I'm going to be sharing 8 things that I did really well when starting out my small business. In my last video, I shared 8 mistakes that I made, but in this video, we're going to be focusing on the things that I did well that I do not regret doing. And if you want to start your own small business, I hope these tips help you as well. If you're new here, my name is Sarah and I'm the founder and the artist behind Sail of Paper. Sail of Paper is a stationery brand. We do a lot of faith-based artworks, a lot of calligraphy, and I like to think that my style is very playful, colorful, and encouraging. I'm married to Alex. I have a toddler daughter named Charlotte, and the 3 of us live here in our apartment. I do a lot of my vlogs as well on what it's like balancing a small business with a toddler. Thank you so much for clicking on this video, and I hope this helps you and inspires you to start your own small business if that's what you want. All right, let's get into it. 8 things I did well when starting my small business. Number 1 is launching imperfectly sooner rather than perfectly later. This all goes back to the saying, better done than perfect. And I just love that quote because that's like my life motto. Better done than perfect. I could have perfected my Etsy shop or my Squarespace for probably like a year because there's always things you can fine tune. There's always something you can improve on. But I set a date for myself and I launched my stuff how it was on that day. And it was totally fine. No one noticed all the things that I wanted to improve or work on or that weren't perfect in my eyes. I also felt like I was lacking in so much knowledge when I started. You know, I could have done a lot more research. I could have taken a bunch of courses, but I launched knowing that these are things I have time to learn as time goes on. I'm almost 4 years into my business and I am only now building out some of the systems and some of the back-end stuff that would have been nice to have on day 1 when I launched. But there's no way I would have known this is the type of system I need back when I started. My business evolved and morphed so much over the years, and I think that's really valuable. Like, it's valuable to be in it, doing it, and learning from it rather than not doing it, trying to plan and trying to like forecast all the problems. There's just no way you're gonna know. So if you need to hear this today, better done than perfect. You probably already have what you need to start. Just take the first step, you can perfect it later. The second thing I did well when starting was I started building my brand right away. So I actually launched my first products on Etsy. Etsy was just the easiest way for me to get started. It's a strong e-commerce platform. There's customers already shopping there. For so many reasons, I started selling cards on Etsy. But at the same time, I was also investing in my own website, my own brand. What I didn't want was customers to find me on Etsy and to just have nowhere else to go. I wanted them to have a website that they can go to read about my brand story, learn more about me, and to stay connected to see all the other products that were coming. I have a whole video on Etsy versus Squarespace that I filmed years ago, but I think so much of that still stands true. You want your customers to know your brand and to be in your world, and you don't want them to get lost on another platform. If you feel like you can't invest in your own site right away, that's okay too. Make sure you have a social media account. Make sure you have an Instagram account where you're sharing and customers can stay connected with you that way. The third thing I feel like I did well when starting was pricing my products to industry standards fairly quickly. Every industry has a standard for a product. Right now, greeting cards go for about $6, and that's industry standard. Obviously, you're going to be able to find cards that are $1 or $10. There's no rule that you have to price it to $6, but artists that are just starting out may price their products a lot lower because they feel like their products aren't good enough yet, or they just want to make quicker sales. For whatever reason, it is a big jump to say that this thing that I made that no one's bought yet is worth this much money. For example, 10 years ago, I had handmade cards. Like, I drew every single card by hand and sold them for $1 each. It's cringe. Those cards were not worth $1 each, but I just didn't have the confidence to ask for more. It's a fine line because if you're selling cards for $1, you're gonna be perceived as a cheap brand. Like, it's one thing to be accessible, but it's another thing to just be the cheapest product out there. It also damages the industry. I see this on Etsy all the time. Like, everyone's undercutting each other, and that doesn't really benefit anybody. You know, by undercutting, you're trying to get a bigger slice of the pie, but by trying to build your industry up for everyone, you're making the pie bigger, and that's gonna give you a bigger slice as well. This is a long-term thing that might be hard to see if you're starting out because you just feel like you're in survival mode. But yeah, I took the jump. I made sure I was making products I was proud of, and even though it was a little uncomfortable, I priced my cards to industry standard when I started, and no regrets. It's prevented me from having to do like a big price jump later on because I already started fairly high, and now I'm just moving along with the peers in my industry. The fourth thing that I'm proud of is I made products products that I liked, not what was trendy. Trends come and go, okay? That is facts. And if you're making products that are just trendy for the moment, it's hard to build something that's gonna last beyond the trend. You need to have a bigger vision. And that's not to say you can't make trendy products, but your vision just has to be a bit bigger than that. What do you wanna make? Because if you can find a way to actually like what you're making, your work is gonna be enjoyable. I was doing weddings and I did not enjoy weddings, but that's what I was doing because it's a lucrative industry, it's easy to get clients. But because I wasn't enjoying it, being self-employed and doing my own thing just did not seem enjoyable to me. What I really like doing is what I'm doing right now. Selling cards, stationery, stickers, like physical products that are encouraging and playful and colorful, that have God's word in them. None of my products have gone viral. They're not like particularly trendy or anything right now, but this is something I can build my business on because I feel passionate about it. I feel convicted to do this and I enjoy doing it. The fifth thing that was a good decision for me was starting my email newsletter early. Emails are my favorite way of connecting with my customers. They don't rely on another platform, so it doesn't rely on like Instagram or Pinterest or Twitter. Like you've seen Twitter, the platform changed and people left the platform. Email newsletters are just your inbox to their inbox, and having someone's consent to be in their inbox is such an honor. I get to directly send them mail and share what's going on in my shop. I would just start that list early, like ask your customers if they want to join your email list and start regularly communicating that way. My email list has grown over the years, very slowly and steadily, but it's still made an impact to my business. A story I've never shared before was I started a wholesale email list as well for just my retailers. The first email I sent was to one person. Like I literally crafted a beautiful email and sent it to one person. And now that email list has grown and I'm sending these emails out to more stores, but I was still very proud of myself, not waiting till I had 100 subscribers to send out an email. This is how you start. You email one person and then it becomes 10 and 100, 1,000. Maybe one day I'll be writing to 1 million people. The sixth thing that I did well was hiring a bookkeeper early. If there's one thing I don't want to mess up, it's my taxes. I'm just scared of getting in trouble by the government for doing something wrong with my finances. So even though I did a lot of research on bookkeeping, took some Skillshare classes, I still hired a bookkeeper, and this has just taken a weight off of my shoulders. I knew my mental limit of what I can and cannot take on, and so it is immensely helpful working with a professional to not just do my taxes, but to help me see my numbers. And honestly, I pay her per hour. She's completely virtual. It's not a huge investment, and to me it's totally worth it. The second last thing that I think I did well was to find a hobby when my hobby became my job. Creatives need a creative outlet, but sometimes your main outlet becomes your full-time job and your source of stress. I very quickly needed more creative outlets, and so that's actually how I started YouTube. I am monetized, but it is very little, and this isn't a huge source of income for me. It's really a hobby and it's something I love doing. I'm not a pro, but I've gotten a lot better at video editing and I actually enjoy the process. And surprisingly enough, like making YouTube videos for the past few years, documenting my small business, has actually given me the skills to make Instagram Reels and TikToks a lot better. I feel like I'm finding my groove with video editing, so I don't see this as like a waste of time. Find new hobbies, explore different creative areas. You'll be pleasantly surprised to see how much of those different activities actually add so much value to what you're doing as a creative entrepreneur. The last thing that I did well when starting my business was investing in myself. It's so cheesy, but it's very important to be a lifelong learner. Learning does not end with school. In fact, I feel like I've done so much more learning in the past few years than I did in school. I know I can't be everything in my business. I mean, like that's why I outsource some things. But I think it is important to know a little bit about everything just so that you can be a better manager, maybe a CEO one day. I find that it helps me have better dialogue with people. Because I learned a little bit of bookkeeping, I'm actually able to have conversations with my bookkeeper and actually understand what she's saying. Because I do so much research on paper and like printing methods, it's helped me have much more productive conversations with my printers and manufacturers. Like I know I'm not the professional, but I can tell you what I want and what I don't want. On this topic, I think one of the best decisions I made was enrolling in a course called Paper Camp, and it just taught me so much and gave me the confidence to move forward in my business. I'm also always watching other YouTubers and finding so much inspiration, even things like how they set up their inventory or where they place their tape dispenser. Like there's no loss in investing in yourself. Like investing in yourself is investing in your business. And this is something we have to continue doing. Thank you for watching to the end. These are the 8 best business decisions I made when starting out my business back in 2020. So if you're interested in doing your own thing, I hope this helps. I hope this inspired you. Again, I did make a video on 8 of the worst decisions I made in my business. I'll link it up here, and I hope you also learn a lot from that as well. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.